Welcome to the DIY Writer Show with the mild-mannered, slightly heroic host, Jeff Bacon.
This is Jeff Bacon with the DIY Writer Podcast, and today we have Diana Rose, who is a YA romance writer, which is a little different than what I normally interview, just because not a whole lot of romance writers want to talk to a guy. So I'm very, very, very pleased to have Diana Rose with me. Diana, how you doing today?
Good. Hi, everybody.
Hi. Everybody out there saying hi. So you had a book come out in November, if I'm not mistaken, called Forbidden Love.
That was November 5th.
Yep. All right. What can you tell us about that?
This book was actually not supposed to be happening. It wasn't in the plan. It was kind of a surprise to me. I wasn't supposed to write it. It wasn't something that I was going to do.
Okay.
So when I was actually editing book one, I stumbled upon a conversation between Amy and her mother. And one of the things that Amy said to her mother really struck a nerve with me, and I decided to give it a exploration, kind of go into that that sense and explore what it was that made Amy say that to her mother. I'm not going to say anything because it's going to be a spoiler for people who haven't read book one. But basically, the book that I released in November goes into the past, and it goes into the history of how Amy's parents met, and how they what their life was like before they had kids and before book one happened.
Okay. I just need to make one correction. The book that we're talking about that was released in November is Arranged Love, which is a prequel novella to the Power of Love series. And the first book in the Power of Love series is Forbidden Love, which was released in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so you're, I find that interesting. So you're writing book one, and all of a sudden, out of the nether regions of your mind, something pops up, and there's this conversation that is kind of like, this happens, and it turns into a novella, a prequel. That's interesting. So my question for you is, do you like heavily outline your books, or are you more of a pantser and things just kind of happen all of a sudden? And it's like, cool.
Just because when I outline a book, it turns into this complicated process of structure. And for me, structure is not really what I like to do. Structure for me is more of like with math, or
Sure.
I just tend to like go on my own like inspiration and just write whatever comes to mind, you know?
Mm-hmm. No,
So
I know that well.
depends how it happens and how the prequel happened, which is book 6, which is why I have so many readers and authors ask me about, like, why is it book 6? Why why did you publish a book 6 before book 2? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it was something that struck my readers, and many authors ask me that because for me, writing a novella is something that I have never done before. I don't write novellas. I write full novels. Like book 2 is actually 100, uh, 110,000, um, 51 words. So
Okay.
it's kind of big. So it's like 300 and something pages in the original version.
Okay.
Basically, my books are large.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say that's a little. Doesn't romance kind of fall in that 70 to 90 type?
It does,
Yeah.
but book 1 was 92.
Okay.
Yeah, what happened with book 1? It wasn't supposed to be a series. It was supposed to be one book. Again, again, again. See, I just went on that. Like I don't like. See, what happened was when I was writing book 1, because it's a story that came out of my grandparents' true love story.
Okay.
It's 50-50 fantasy and 50-50 real life. So basically, whatever you see in book 1 and the consecutive books is basically um, 50-50 real life. So if you're not looking at that, if
Hmm.
you're not looking for that, you're not gonna find it. But you're gonna read it as a fantasy story. But it is from it is taken from my grandparents' story. So basically, when I wrote book 1, it wasn't supposed to be a series. I was supposed to end it on them having a wedding, having a child, and that was supposed to be the end of the book. I wasn't I wasn't looking to write a series, but when I finished book 1, I realized that I missed the characters. I want to see what happens when Amy and Darian become parents and what happens to their children and how many children do they have and all this family dynamic with uh, with them being royalty, what happens to them after they get married? Do they actually have, um, do they become king and queen because they're princess and prince? So, um, respectively, of course. But, what happens after the wedding? What happens after they have the first child? And then I automatically, after putting the end on book 1, the same day I started book 2. But since book 2 started, uh, it was a very long time for me to finish book 2, and I since I don't have, I can't give you a release date for book
Hmm.
2 and book 3, but since it's taken me such a long time, in between releases, I wanted something that I could release that would ultimately give the reader something to do in between books.
Sure. So do you find writing that novella, um, s- it's backstory. It's something that got created, like you said, out of a conversation. So I assume that novella kind of strengthens the plot for you as you move forward. It really, it gives you material that you can refer back to, that will connect the books in a deeper way is what I'm.
It actually does. In a sense, it opens up, like my editor said to me, um, it opens up a gateway kind of, I don't know if I'm using that word right, but I mean, it opens up a doorway to certain questions that even my editor couldn't answer because she hadn't read book one.
Mhm.
And for her to edit the next few books, which I gave to her, was harder because she couldn't, um, she didn't know like what happened before. So what this book actually did for me, for the readers, um, it it opens up a doorway into the past, and it shows you um, how the Moon Kingdom came to be and how it developed into what it is. Um, because the Moon Kingdom in my universe um, is a prevalent, like it's the largest kingdom in my universe. There's more like kingdoms. Uh, there's more places. There's the Earth Kingdom. There's the Sunset Valley Kingdom. There's the Starlight, uh, yeah, Starlight Kingdom. There's a lot of places that uh, that happen throughout like the books, but they aren't as large
Okay.
because the Moon Kingdom essentially connects every kingdom together.
Oh,
It shows like the relationship between the alliance between the kingdoms. But I wanted to show how it came to be that strong, how it came to be um, what it is, how the crystal was found that actually generates the magic for the Moon Kingdom. Um, how Amy's parents met, how how they Amy's mother didn't want to be uh, with Amy's father. She had a different like she had a whole different person that she wanted to be with,
yeah.
and uh, you
So
see,
this was like an arranged marriage type thing.
it's an arranged marriage.
Sure.
It is an arranged marriage type book,
Okay.
but um, see, because it came, uh, because after writing this book, I actually realized that I didn't realize this when I was writing the prequel. I realized that it was um, it was also part of my grandmother's history. Kind of her parents, uh, um, the way my grandmother's parents met, and um, it was in those years when my great grandparents met. Um, Arranged marriages were kind of the thing.
Hmm. So, what can you tell me about your grandparents? I mean, if they're, I mean, I guess what are you willing to without spilling the beans on your story?
No, it's not gonna. I think it complements the story. It
Okay.
complements the series because once you know the backstory of how like um, of my family history and how it connects to the books,
Hmm.
it creates that interest in the reader to actually find that in the book and read it
Okay.
and see how I turned real life into a fantasy fairy tale story. You
Okay. Well.
see, that's why I always talk about this in interviews that I've had
Okay.
because it shows like how and why I chose to write the books the way that I did.
Okay. Well, tell me about your grandparents.
My my grandparents, oh boy, um, they're they were amazing people. Both of them were amazing people. My grandfather fought in World War II,
Ooh.
and after he came back from the war, uh, he was released because of an injury. And uh, when he came back from the war was when he met my grandmother. And um, on February 1st of 1945, I believe, after the war, they got married. And they're, they're, they were they were just they were just people that I modeled being endearing after them. I I just I came to them and I just felt so much love, so much kindness, so much they just my grandfather was a family man. He had a hard life. He had a hard life even before the war started. So for him to find a happily ever after was kind of the thing. And he took care of my grandmother. He made sure that she was happy. He loved us, and uh, he he's just that kind of person that I would look for in like a hero.
Hmm.
And my grandmother, she was always nervous. She was always worried about something. She was always like that kind of person that, you know, you needed to calm down. You needed to like sit down and tell her, like,
Hmm.
it's okay, nothing's gonna happen. They're gonna you know, my grandfather was that kind of person, that kind of rock for my grandmother. And for me, losing my grandfather 5 years ago was the thing that, you know, me and my mom still talk about it, like his positivity, his optimism, his belief in the best, and his assurance of of the next day being good is something that I miss, is something that I look for. It's something that I want to see in somebody else. Like, you know, there's not many people like that. There's
No,
not
there's not.
many people that would act like that. He was like that ultimate Darien type person, you know. And for me, writing romance, that's why I write romance for, um, because I believe in a sense that um, true love is possible,
Hmm.
and true love is that it's out there for everybody. And I believe that for me, the way that my grandparents acted towards each other, towards each other, and um, towards us, towards family, towards everybody that was around them, it was that unique experience that you would never expect to find. And everybody that knew my grandmother and my grandfather back when they were alive, uh, they still say like, "Oh my God, 63 years of being married, that's amazing. Like, I want that with my wife. I want that with my husband. I want that, you know, that connection, that um, that compassion, that love. They never fought. They never. They always like. It was always that kind of haven, kind of like it, kind of like that specific place where you could come and you could have peace and you know, find love. And for me, it just sparked that idea. And when my um, grandmother, because I started writing when I was 12.
Hmm.
So when my grandmother used to ask me when she was alive, she once asked me, "What are you writing about?" And I said to her, "You know, I'm writing your story, yours and Grandpa's." And she's like, "Oh, I want to read that. I want to see it. When you get to publish it, I want to read it." And I said to her, "I don't know when I'm going to publish it, but I promise that I will." Um, and sadly, she died before she could see the book published. But I made that promise, and I know that I did um, something that I promised her to do, and I did it. I might have done it later. I've done it way later than I was expecting to do it,
Mhm.
but it just turned out that my publishing journey just it was so complicated for me to get into the market, into the publishing world,
Sure.
that that at one point I thought that I was not gonna get in here, and then I got a publishing contract. I was supposed to be traditionally published. I was, and then basically I got a defective product.
Okay.
And
Which
I
happens.
went to my publishing company. I said, you know what? I don't want this. I don't want any part of this. And you know, and I went and I terminated my contract 2 years uh, into my contract. I was contracted for 3 years, but I terminated my contract, and what happened was I when I did that, I was out of my mind, scared that what is going to happen to me, what is going to happen to Forbidden Love, what is going to happen to my characters. And a friend of mine, an author friend of mine, who I call my twin friend, um, she's like a twin to me, but because we think alike, and we're
Uh-huh.
like, that mindset that we have is so alike that, we're like twins. But she suggested, her name's Karen Dean,
Okay.
she suggested to me that I go and self-publish. I said, "Are you crazy? Me self-publish a book? Are you nuts? That's so much money, so much time, and so much effort. Like I don't know even where to start."
Mm-hmm.
And she said, "You know what? I believe you can do it.
Mm-hmm.
I know you can do it, and I know that you can find a way to get this book out even without my help. So go ahead and do it." And what happened was my cover designer, who is now my personal assistant, um, we just started this year.
Okay.
So she's um, my everything. Jessica Topham. She's with, I can't say her last name. She's with the Magical Graphics,
Okay.
and um, she was my cover designer for my publishing engagements. She redid my cover for when I went self-publishing. She redid my cover for book one. She basically um, helped me through the process of getting it back on Amazon. And I got it back on Amazon 2 months after losing my contract.
Okay.
I lost my contract in August, and I got it back on Amazon on October 15th of 2018, which is significant because my grandfather's birthday is on October 15th. And I wanted that date because he's my Darian. So, so I wanted that date. But I did get it back on Amazon, and Since then, I started with the self-publishing thing. I'm still learning. Like
Yeah.
I still have a lot to learn, but you know, it's just been incredible. And the way this 2021 started, I'm just blown away. I've had so many um, wonderful opportunities, and I don't know what's happening tomorrow, but I know that it's gonna be great. I mean, like,
You sound an awful lot like how you described your grandfather.
he, he's just my role model for everything.
Mm-hmm.
He's just every time like I get nervous or I start getting stressed and I think, what will my grandfather say? What will my grandfather do? Like, and I start talking to my mom and she starts saying that, oh, he would do this, oh, he would say this, so we like, like, and when she needs something like that, like that pep talk, and I go and I say to her, just think about what grandfather would say and what he would do. Like, think about it and you'll calm down. Like, that kind of calms me down because he was that kind of person to me. And I still have his voice on my answering machine, which I haven't listened to in years because it makes me sad to think that he's not here. But like, he's that inspirational person that made a lot of things happen. Like, I'm living by myself, and if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be able to do it
Okay.
because in the beginning of starting to live by myself, I was very anxious, and he would call me and he would start talking to me and he would say like things like, um, do you like this place? Do you feel comfortable there? Do you like kind of that kind of questions that made me think like, oh yes, I'm comfortable. Yeah, I like it. I like living by myself. I like, where I am. Like that kind of stuff. Like he would call me every day, and every day he would like talk to me about this, and he would make sure that I was okay. Like he was that kind of person, and for me, it just made a lot of things happen.
Mhm. It sounds to me like your grandfather's still around in your writing. He's also still around in the way that you're living your life. And, between you and your mother and your writing, it's not the same, but it sounds like that you're sharing him with the world.
It is. It really is, and I try to. Um, I try to show in my writing, especially. I try to show like that kind of person that he was,
Mhm.
and give Darian those qualities because people need to know that that kind of person did exist. That kind of person is possible to find, and he was real.
Mhm.
Not like he was fake and I just created it. No, I created the name. I created the place. I created the backstory, but I didn't create the person. The person was real. You see what I mean? Like
I I see what you mean. Yeah.
it's not fake. And some of the things Like, were the castles in book one, or some of the things that I write about really did happen. Like they're fake, they're fake, but they represent things and people that actually did happen.
Hmm.
You know, that actually um, were here, like in real life, which is why I write 50-50 real life and 50-50 fairy tale. You see how it works? It works like a balance between fantasy and real life.
So when you're writing and you're writing Darian, um, I assume it kind of feels like, you write something and you look at it and there's my grandfather.
Yes,
I mean,
yes,
he's right there with you.
yes. That's exactly how I feel. That's exactly how it is. That's exactly how I felt writing book one, writing book two, and there were places in book two when I was writing book two, and where my grandfather would end up in the hospital or something would happen, and I would look at my writing and I had to write a scene with Darian in it, and I couldn't write it. You see what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
I couldn't write it not because I couldn't write, but because my emotional state was not up to writing Darian at that point, because I wanted Darian to be healthy. You see, my first editor, before I got into publishing, before any of this happened, um, I was in college, and I went up to my director of the mental health department that I belonged to in college, because I was taking psychology.
Hmm.
I'm a psychology major in college, and I just finished a couple of years ago. So I never went to a job. I'm full time. I full time write. I'm a full time self published author.
Cool.
So uh, after I finished my psychology degree, I just said to my mom, you know what? I don't want to look for a job. I want to do this full time.
Hmm.
What? You want to do an author thing full time? Like, are you nuts? You need a job. You need this. You need to get out of the house. You need to do this. I said, no way. I said, no way. I want to try. I want to try. I want to see what happens. So that's why I went full time. And when I was in Kingsborough College studying psychology, my director of the mental health department, who later retired, um, he set me up with my professor, Susan Edney, and she actually started editing my book for me. She was my first ever editor.
Hmm.
And when I came to her one time and she said to me, you know, we've been editing for a very long time together. We went through uh, quite a long, had quite, like a lot of the book, like maybe half of the book we went through, or like 4 or 5 chapters. And she said to me, um, I don't understand. Like, what do you want to do with the book? Do you want to edit it for yourself? Like for yourself to know that you can do it, that you can like have a better understanding of writing, or do you want to publish it? It took me 2 minutes, 2 minutes to say I want to publish.
Mhm.
And she said, okay, let's get this thing done. And when I came to her and I said, I emailed her and I said, I found a publishing company and they want to, help me out, help me get everything ready. She said, okay. She helped me write the letters that they needed. Uh, she helped me a lot. She's been like with me ever since 2005 was when I met her. And I gave her when I published book one, I gave her a signed copy of book one. She bought a copy of book six, the novella. She bought it recently and she read it in one day. And she told me, she sent me an email that was just incredible. She said, I feel like I'm in the garden. I feel like I'm in the lake. I feel like I'm in these places with Alona and Gabriel, and I feel like um, your writing has improved, and you're doing incredible in dialogue. You're doing um, so much better. This book is just amazing, and recently she emailed me and told me that one of her friends is reading both of my books and they're enjoying them. So I feel like I told her about this interview that I'm having with you.
Mhm.
And she said, send me the link. I want to see it. I can't. I said, sure. I mean, wow. So yeah, like I just feel so much support from this lady. I've known her for a very long time.
Mhm.
Yeah, Susan Andy is part of the reason why I actually came into this industry.
Mm.
It's a long way to go, but self-publishing makes me happy. Like it's where I'm meant to be. You know,
I don't think you said that you don't know everything. I don't think, especially the way the rules change or the platforms change or this that I don't think you'll ever know anything. I don't think the publishers know everything. They have teams of people and they still have good launches, bad launches, whatever. The neat thing about that though, or neat thing about self-publishing is that you have control. So I mean, if you're putting out something that it's like, that's completely your fault.
yeah.
And if you put out something that you're really proud of and maybe it crosses different genres,
Mhm.
so be it. You have way less rules and you have way more freedom.
Yeah, that's why I love self-publishing. That's why I feel like it makes me happy, like to be in that control, to make my own decisions, to have the editor that I want, to have the cover designer that makes me happy,
Yeah.
to have um, even, I don't know, to even have um, Michael Evan approached me was something that wouldn't have happened if I was traditionally published, maybe. You see, I have these incredible opportunities now to promote, to have interviews, to write the books that I want to write, because um, publishers would have looked at my stuff that doesn't sell. Well, generally doesn't sell, right?
Right.
It's not a constant selling point where I constantly have somebody buying my books. But I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I'm still writing, I'm still publishing. I'm about to publish 2 books and uh, 2 books this year.
Yeah. Do you have the titles for him yet, or?
hmm Yeah, book 2 is Sacrifice Love, and book 3 is Undying Love.
Okay.
And those two are basically coming out. I'm supposed to be releasing them this year.
Do you have any dates set or a date in mind? What's that?
Those two were supposed to come out last year, but it didn't happen.
It's
Yeah.
2020. You know, it was the year to be forgot.
The best thing that ever happened in 2020 was my novella meeting Michael Evan and possibly, maybe, I think, was um, was getting my you know, it just, my first surprise with that book, with the novella um, that I published in November, was my first positive review, and the positive reviews after that, and one of other people wrote that it's a must read. You'll love the characters. You see, that, that's what it is. That's what it is. When you're self-published, you get to do what you want to do.
Yep.
And nobody's sitting on your back and saying, "Oh, you can't publish that because your last book didn't sell."
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
Yep. I absolutely do. I believe that with every grain of my being that, you know, if you're self-publishing your books, you have that all of the creative authority to do whatever you want, and it's liberating because you put it out there and it's really for you, and anybody else who wants to pick it up and read it, great, you know, and the people that don't, you know what, that's fine too. But you know, it is a game of numbers, so I mean, it you know, the more books you put out, the better off you'll be.
The money. I don't read. Like, I would be okay with getting money for my books. I would be okay with that. But my point with publishing is to get people to read my books, to like my books, to feel like they're in the story with the characters, like Susan Edney told me when she read my novella.
Mhm.
See, it's that kind of thing that I want. Not, my point is not the money. The money is a good addition, but it's not the point. It's not the whole aspect of why I'm doing it. I'm doing this to show that true love exists. Like I said, that Amy and Darian do exist. That a woman could find somebody like Darian, and not to say that, not to say that everybody has that I've met, but it's possible. Like you, you see, that's my point. Not the fact that not the fact that I'm going into this. Oh, I need the money. Oh, I need, I don't know, $1,000. You see, if I was going into this for money, I wouldn't have written from my creative heart.
That's a very
I
good
would have
point.
written from a point where what's trendy, what's um, what do people want to read?
Right. No, I completely get you. I wasn't necessarily talking about money. I was talking more along the lines of, as you put more books out, more people will, it's easier to find you with the more books you have out. So when you put out your next two books this year, so you'll have four out at that point. And, I think you're going to, the reactions that you have now with the second book, you're going to see more with the third and more with the fourth. And I think that fan base is going to get addicted to you to where you're probably going to have to put out a few more books for them, or else you get some angry emails saying, why aren't you feeding me? You know,
I
want more
get that.
Darian.
And looking at other authors that have 24, 25, 50 books out by the time I have two out, which I'm a slow author, I'm a slow writer. I don't, you know, I don't go into this with quantity. I go into this with quality.
Sure.
I really like trying to put out quality work. And
I
for
think
me,
I
for
think the
me,
biggest lesson that I've learned, I'm sorry.
what you're saying to put out um, to put out books, um, it takes time, it takes energy, and it takes you know the way I write is quality. I want if if I don't like the quality of my words, if I don't like what I want to say, if it's not exactly what I want to say, I won't publish it. You see what I mean? Like
Sure.
for me to put out these two books, it has to be perfect, like up to most perfect, up to the most perfect that I can make the books. You see what I'm saying? Like if I
Sure.
put out those two books that I plan to put out this year, they're going to be uh, they're going to be perfect to the most that I can make them.
Sure.
If I don't put out two books, or if I put out one this year, again, which I did last year, I put out one book last year by the end of last year, um, which with the situation in the world is a good thing for me. Um, it it, um, it would be a win for me. And yeah, by the time I have this book series has six, no, has 9 books currently in the plan. Um, so by the time I get 9 out, which I'm planning 9, it won't be like a book every month.
Oh yeah.
Like
And
you say,
you understand I'm not telling you, to, throw books out or whatever. What I'm
no,
saying is that
I'm saying that what you're saying that um, that I should put more books out.
I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that when you get these next 2 books out, I think your story is so endearing, especially since it's 50% fantasy and 50% based on your grandparents, that I think your fans are going to eat it up. I think that you're going to gain more fans.
The fact is that I write so slowly is that fans are gonna have to wait. Is what I'm saying.
Oh,
In
I'm
between, in between books, like you see, there's this big gap. That
look at George R. R. Martin. What's he writes a book every 5 years, I think.
yeah, that's why I'm so concerned with the way I write.
Oh,
See what I mean? Like I'm concerned with the way that I put out books, with the time frame
don't.
that that by the time I finish the series, it's gonna it's gonna take time. That's why I'm saying
Okay.
what I said.
So if I was to give you advice, the first thing I'd say is don't look at other authors.
It's more difficult than you know.
I
It's
know, I know. I'm an author too, and it's you look at somebody that's putting out a book. You know, Michelangelo puts out a book every other day. With his posse. You're like, oh my gosh, and you feel like, oh, I need to. No, don't.
yeah, exactly. Like I see authors basically put out books every 3 months, um, every 4 months, every month even, you know. And these authors have self-published, so I feel like, oh my god, my series is gonna take me a very long time to get published, fully.
And I don't think you have to worry about that realistically. And as far as the timing goes, I know authors that do 1 book a year.
That, like in between
Yeah.
books, forgetting about, like, oh, this author exists. You see what I'm saying?
No, I don't think so, because a good story, a really good story that touches your heart, which is what I'm guessing your books are doing. Like I said, I can see your passion, and I can see, the love that you have for your grandfather, and the way that you talk about how you built him into your book. I'm guessing that resonates with a ton of readers, and it's going to. And as you progress and get another book out and another book out, all the way up to when you get 9 books out, whether it's 10 years from now or whether, however it works for you. There is no, you need to do this and, blah, 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 blah. This is art. This is, however it comes to you and however you want to produce it.
Yeah, and
My
also
guess is that you're going to have some people there.
whatever, where I can take up to like a few months not writing at all. You see what I mean? Like
Mhm, I
there's
do.
that space where I can't write because either I'm promoting, either I have something going on in my real life that causes me that stress, that amount of stress that I can't write at all.
Sure.
Like, either something happens and I can't write, or I write and you know, it, and it's really like slow, paragraph at a time, or like a few sentences at a time, which is why I feel like um, these books are gonna.
I think, and this is, I shouldn't say I think, as I feel like as long as it, as long as it's right for you, you're not going to lose any readers. You're not going to lose anything. You know, they're going to be, whether it's a book a year or whatever it is, with the story I think you're writing and the way that you are, I think that people are going to follow you to the ends of the earth. I really do.
I really hope you're right, because
So do I.
the way that I write, you know, people say the more books you put out, the faster you're going to be able to write. You know,
And
and
that,
uh,
you know, that's true for some people, and some people it's not. Like I said, there's lots of really big name authors that do one book a year, you know.
right, yeah,
And look at what does Sanderson put out? I mean, he puts out like these huge thick books.
yeah,
And you know, you know, he's not doing a book a month, you know.
or let me just plug out my favorite author here for a second.
Sure.
Jessica Lauren.
Yep.
She's been my best friend for like 9 years now, almost 10.
Okay.
And she just republished her full backlist of books um, within 2020 and 2021, the start of 2021.
Sure.
So she's now self-published, and uh, these books are amazing. I've read her Rayborn Theater series.
Hmm.
It just blew me away. Now I'm reading her Pinnacles of Power series. I'm telling you, these characters are just amazing. Like, to me, she's
Yeah.
an inspiration to me. Like, 5 books in the series. Each series has like 5 books. She's
Okay.
about to publish her 5th book in the Rayborn Theater series. She's just amazing. Like, to me, it's just.
Hmm.
And one of my other author friends who I just love her books. Jessica Wayne. She writes amazing books. She puts out like 4, 5. I don't know how many a year.
Hmm.
I don't know how she writes that fast. I have no idea. But she is just. I just got her recent trilogy signed,
Hmm.
and I ordered her latest trilogy signed, and she writes amazing stories. She's been published for 4 or 5 years now,
Hmm.
self-publishing.
Sure.
So yeah, it takes time to
It does.
get to that point, but I'm in it for the long road because I have things to say. I have books to write. I have ideas that need to get out there,
Hmm.
and being with um, working with Jessica from the Magical Graphics, and working with Michael Evan right now, and uh, doing all these things that I'm doing,
Hmm.
that I'm starting to do in 2021, that carried over from 2020, and positive things that carried over from 2020 for me. Um, I feel like I'm getting to the point where I can actually call myself an author, because before I was like a new person. Nobody knew me. Nobody. It was so hard 5 years ago. Uh, was it 5 years ago? 6 years ago now, maybe. When I first put my first author page together on Facebook,
Mm-hmm.
I created it on a whim. I created it like, like a game, like this game. If anybody likes my author page, if nobody likes it, I'm gonna take it off. Like that was my intention. Like,
Mm-hmm.
if nobody likes it, I'm gonna take it off. But then, like, after like 25 people liked it, and then 100 people liked it, and then half of those people were my friends on Facebook. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
But but I was still thankful. Like, I'm thankful to the people I work with. I'm thankful to the people that read my books. I'm thankful to my my Facebook friends, because this is sent to me by a friend of mine on Facebook. Her name's Isadora Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
She sent me this over the holidays, and it's just amazing to me how readers love how readers react to my stuff, to to care enough to send me cards, to send me, I don't know, packages, to send me, well, not packages, but I mean, like, things that, brighten my day.
Sure.
Write reviews that brighten my day, because I did have one uh, bad review that that almost that almost made me quit.
Yep.
It made me quit, but think about quitting. Like, I thought about it, but then, I got up, I dusted myself off, and I said, you know what? I don't care. I'm going to publish this novella, and I'm going to get this out, and I'm going to show that in, I'm not out of the game, because I need to get back into this. And after publishing the novella, which was part of the reason why I published so fast uh, last year, which wasn't really fast. It took me a half a year to actually to actually edit the book,
Mm-hmm.
and I made sure I was up to most 100% on the editing that it could be. Um, I did amazing things. My editor edited the book. I edited the book. I re-edited the book. I sent her 3, 4 times the manuscript that I was working on. I said, this needs to be changed. This needs to be changed. I changed this. I changed that. I worked on that novella partly because of that review. I worked on that novella so hard, because I wanted to show people that I can put up quality work. You see, and um, and that review actually pushed me in a positive way. And I'm thankful not to that reviewer, but
for
to
the
my
review.
power
Yeah.
to actually get up and do this, no matter what anybody says.
Very, very cool. Say, we're running a little over an hour at this point.
Yeah.
Are there any last comments you want to make for your readers and your fans?
I'm just, I didn't even realize the time.
I know it's gone by fast.
I want to thank you, Jeff, for taking me on.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
I really feel grateful for every interview that I have, and
I got to tell you, you're an inspiration. I really love your backstory of your grandparents, and how you went from being public or working with a publisher to being self-published. And this is hard stuff, and you're fighting it like a champ. You really are. And my hope is that you come back on.
I come back up because my grandfather was a fighter, and I'm a fighter after.
I can tell.
And I'm like, he wouldn't give up on anything. He never gave up, and he said, the best, the most, the most positive thing that I could remember. He said, everybody can give up. Everybody can be poor. Everybody can be sick, but not everybody can get up and survive and get over the problems they have and become successful. And that really stuck with me.
I can tell. Diana, I want to thank you very much for all of your time today.
but the gist of it, you get it.
I get it. I absolutely do. I really do. Thank you very much for your time today, Diana. It's been a pleasure. And like I said, when you want to come back on, you just let me know.
I will definitely let you know. Thank you so much.
It truly is my pleasure. With that, though, I'm going to call this to a close. I want to thank you. This is Jeff with the DIY Writer Podcast. And if you wouldn't mind, subscribe to my YouTube channel or follow me on any platform you happen to be listening to this podcast on. We're all over the place now. I want you all to have a great day and keep your chin up. Bye-bye.
Please hit the subscribe button. I get a bonus for every subscriber, and I only need 1,506 more to become a full-time paid employee. Help me, please.